Hail, Thunder Faithful. This is your weekly Thunder for November 5th, 2018. Starting off with a much better start than we had last week. Well, not so well for Cleveland. A bunch of their coaches have been fired, both in the Browns and the Cavaliers collectively. Browns head coach Hugh Jackson and Browns offensive coordinator Todd Haley were both fired, and they made Greg Williams their defensive coordinator, the interim head coach. Yes, this is the same Greg Williams that spearheaded the Bounty Gate thing with the Saints a few years ago, but let's not talk about that. Or I can talk about the Aints all day. Speaking of which, they did sadly hand the Los Angeles Rams their first loss, which is the second time in the last week or two where a Los Angeles team has fallen, and I was like, really, to them? Anywho, back to Cleveland's troubles. The Cavs fired their head coach, Tyronn Lue, who is part of the Laker alumni. So either way, I mean, even if he wasn't Laker alumni, we would still wish him well. But since he is also Lakers, I mean, he could also come onto this coaching staff, you know. Who knows what magic's got up his sleeve. Anyway, also the trade deadline passed this past week, and a few notable trades. Golden Tate has gone to the Eagles, and that gives another weapon to Carson Wentz. They really didn't need, but it was nice. Demaryius Thomas went to the Texans, and so DeAndre Hopkins finally has some help. And Clinton Dix went to the Redskins, which did not help them whatsoever, as that amazing Falcons offense gashed them 38-14. WWE Crown Jewel happened on Friday, and it was pretty much just as much of a farce as people thought it was going to be. In the kickoff show, there was a match that nobody knew what was going to happen until it happened. The United States Championship, with Shinsuke Nakamura defending it against Rusev. And in the main show, Hulk Hogan came out to say hi. The Bar beat the New Day for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. AJ Styles beat Samoa Joe for the WWE Championship, though not as brutally as he did for Super Showdown. Lesnar F5'd Braun Strowman 5 times to get back his Universal Championship. Lame. The Generation X beat the Brothers of Destruction in yet another epic match. I say yet another, but this is actually the first time that the both of them have faced the other two guys, either way you put it. But either way, it was still pretty nice. Also, the WWE World Cup happened, and since nobody really wanted to be a winner in Saudi Arabia, I guess, Shane McMahon went ahead and took it. By that I mean Dolph Ziggler was the representative for the Raw side, even though it should have been Seth Rollins. The Miz was going to represent the SmackDown side, and The Miz got injured, so Shane McMahon jumped in, much to Baron Corbin's and all of ours WTF-ness, and yeah, he won the World Cup. So I guess it's a pretty nice little spicy beginning for the Survivor Series storyline, which begins tonight. And speaking of tonight, spoiler alert, late this afternoon, WWE.com revealed that in the taping of Raw that happened, because tonight's Raw is in Manchester, UK, there's been a transfer of Raw Tag Team Champions, as for the last couple of weeks it was Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, but since they couldn't get along, pause now, because spoiler alert if you haven't seen tonight's Raw, but Seth tried to surrender them to Baron Corbin, and Baron Corbin was like, nah, dog, you're going to get a handicap match against the Authors of Destruction, because I hate you, or Authors of Pain. I'm getting my tag teams mixed up. But yeah, so apparently Seth is supposed to fight the Authors of Pain, and loses because they're the Authors of Pain, and they could probably take Brock Lesnar if they were put into a handicap match with him. I'd like to see that happen. And so they're finally Raw Tag Team Champions. And Seth Rollins is still Intercontinental Champion, and Dean Ambrose is still out kicking his ass and not telling him why. Also, Birds of Prey news, aka the next Harley Quinn movie. Ewan McGregor, yes, Obi-Wan Kenobi himself has been cast as Black Mask, and apparently there's been some other castings that I have been completely unaware of. My bad, as your host of Your Weekly Thunder. But Journey Smollett-Bell of Temptations Confessions of a Marriage Counselor fame, she's been cast as Black Canary. Rosie Perez has been cast as Renee Montoya. And Mary Elizabeth Winstead has been cast as Huntress, Helena Bertinelli, or Helena Wayne if you want to count the TV show. But no, I'm pretty sure she's going to be Bertinelli in this movie. And Birds of Prey is set to come out in February 2020. So let the countdown begin. Also, finally, in Walking Dead news, Rick Grimes had his final episode. And pause this if you haven't seen that episode either, but click, click, click. Rick didn't die. But how is he going off the show if he didn't die? People usually die on this show. Why, yes, I know. Let me explain to you how. After hallucinating the last 8 seasons, pretty much, he'd been chased by the Walker herd, and he crossed the bridge that they spent all season building, and he blew it up by shooting the dynamite with his trusty python, and he, while still bleeding out, flew into a ravine somewhere, and so Anne/Jadis found him, and the people she'd been in contact with came down and picked her up and picked up Rick. So that's the end of Rick's story. It's like, so what? We're never going to see him again? Yes, but on The Walking Dead, Scott M. Gimple, the guy who used to be showrunner for a number of years, but is now head honcho over running the show for The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead, he revealed on Talking Dead that there will be AMC original movies that will show on AMC, but will have the sort of scope and production of feature films, if I understand him correctly. So we're going to see more of Rick and whatever he's going to be up to just in movie form, I guess, whenever Andrew Lincoln has the time between spending time with his family and, other more local projects that he'll be getting into. And that's your Weekly Thunder for November 3rd. I'm your host, Sexy Thor, and remember to drink, fight, and make your ancestors proud.